Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's podcast. My name's Charlotte, and I work as a Year 2 teacher in a primary school in London. If you haven't heard any of Hanaz Writers Podcast before, then you can have a listen on the podcast channels Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. You can search for Hanaz Writers Podcast on any of these websites, and then you can start listening to all the available podcasts on them. In the next few podcasts, I'm going to talk about 7 different types of creative writing, and they are poetry, plays, movies and television scripts, fiction, such as novels, novellas, and short stories, songs, speeches, memoirs, and personal essays. In my previous podcast, I've already spoken about fictional creative writing, in particular, short stories and novels. And I also had a podcast talking about plays. And during my podcast, I compared them to each other. I discussed how similar and different they were to each other and how they are still, all of them, forms of creative writing. So, in this podcast, I'm going to talk about another creative writing form, and this is writing for movies and television scripts. I'm going to discuss how they are both a form of creative storytelling and how similar and different they are from one another and to other forms of creative writing. So, whether you dream of becoming a writer for the big screen, writing a big movie, or you're itching to just start writing your own television series, understanding the format and the function of each one is key to start you off on your journey. Now, movie scripts. They're typically a self contained story. There's one arc, one protagonist, or hero, or heroine, and a clear beginning, middle, and end. It's usually written and told within 90 to 120 pages, and that's roughly 1 minute per page. TV scripts, however, are written for continuation. Whether it's episodic or serialized TV show, it's not about resolving everything at once, like in movies. It's about keeping the viewers coming back and wanting more each time. So you could think of a movie as a short story, and in contrast, think of a TV series as a novel. Now, as I mentioned before, these two types of creative writing are very different to each other, especially in the pacing of the writing, in the plots, the emotional investments in each of the characters. They're all different. But the storytelling is still there, and it's still as equally crucial in each genre. Now, character arcs. They are there to help reflect the different structural differences in movies and TV shows. In movies, characters usually go through a very quick major change in their realizations and their understanding of events, and it happens over the course of, say, 2 hours. And it's a very defined transformation. It's a very quick and very clear change is made very quickly and clearly to the viewers as well as to what is happening and why it's happening. In television scripts and stories, the character change happens very slowly, or sometimes not at all. Writers often use small shifts in TV writing to build the long term evolution. So, a character who feels maybe static in season 1 of a TV series may shock us all in season 4. And with ensemble casts, TV allows deeper exploration of secondary characters over time. So, take for example Game of Thrones, or think about The Sopranos, and how these two TV series handled the character dynamics. A movie would not spend that much time to develop characters, secondary characters, unless it's a sequence of movies, like, say, in Too Fast, Too Furious. That's a whole movie franchise, and I think I've got like 9, 10 different movies. And they've developed each of the different characters. There's not just a main character anymore. There's suddenly 10 different characters who are all going through their own paces and changes through each of the movies. A standard movie script also runs for 90 to 120 pages. And it follows a 3-act structure. It's very clear. It's got the very clear outlines of first there's the inciting incident. Then second is the midway point of the movie. And then the third section is the climax. So you have the first, second, and third sections, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And it's that climax that's will they or won't they, what finally goes on, is there a big fight or a big dramatic scene? And then finally the resolution at the end. They did or they didn't. Or they do or they don't. And in contrast to this, a 1 hour TV drama script usually runs for about maybe 50 to 65 pages. So it's about half the amount. And a half-hour comedy is even shorter, and it runs for around 22 to 35 pages. So TV pilots also, they kind of need to do a lot of heavy lifting. Because it's a pilot episode, it's the very first episode of any show, you need to establish a tone, the character, you need to establish the world and the conflicts that's happening in that world. All while leaving us at the end of the TV show to be hooked and to want to watch more and to learn more about what's going on, what the characters are doing, and why. Another important thing is to look at the formatting. So industry professionals expect precise structure in their writing. When you have a movie, you have the scene headings, you have the action lines, you have the dialogue, and it has to look clean and professional. Creative chaos is fine, but it has to work within the lines. So between film writing and television writing, there is a very different process to how they're written. Film writing is often solitary. There's one author and one writer, and you're the only one, you're the sole author. And you write your story, and then you gather a small team to help support you and to help you to develop that one main story and characters. In television writing, it's like a writer's room game. There are lots of people all contributing, all pitching ideas collaboratively, all talking about different episodes or single episodes. And they might credit one writer, but it's shaped by everybody in the whole room because there's so many different characters, so many different subplots, so many different ideas that can be bounced around and talked about. And it's not just one main thing with one main goal. There could be 5 different characters in the TV series and they all have 5 different things happening, but then they all happen to collaborate to reach one end goal. Or maybe they collaborate to reach 2 or 3 different goals. And showrunners guide the creative vision. And writers need to be flexible and collaborative when they're working with each other, especially when they're writing a television series. It's a creative writing kind of with a team sport mentality. And it's a very big shift if you're coming from someone who writes their own short stories, someone who writes their own novels, or their own poetry or their own prose, because you're writing as a solitary writer in those kind of writings. It's your idea, it's your creation. You're not trying to share your ideas with other people. So with the creative writing, whether it's for film or for TV, or you're writing a script as a blueprint, or just a basic idea, it is also a kind of art form. The scripts that they're writing have structure, of course, especially so say you're writing for the movie, you're writing in beginning, a middle, and an end. But you've also got to have imagination in there. Every line of dialogue, every silence, every beat of comedy, it's all going in there to become something big. So you could think of it like a painting where every brushstroke seems small and minute, but it comes all together to create the bigger picture. So unlike novels or poetry, screenwriting has to suggest emotional and visually and structurally big things to the audience. Because remember, when you're writing a movie or when you're writing a television script, you have to think about how the audience is going to receive what they see, receive what they hear, and how they're going to understand what is happening in the movie, why it's happening like that, and then the characters have to understand how to portray those emotions and feelings and thoughts and ideas to the audience. Think about Avatar. big production screen. It's a crazy movie about aliens, and they had to create a whole new world for it. Completely visually amazing. CGI effects, visual effects, sound, music, everything is completely alien. So different. But think about it, they had to probably collaborate with so many different people on so many different things and so many different details. But then they brought it all together so that when you go to the cinema and you watch Avatar, it's an amazing movie because they managed to collect all these small bits, all these small details, and then bring it all together, and you get a visually stunning, effectful piece of cinema. And the storyline is there, the structure is there, the characters are given their dialogue, they know what they need to do and what to say and how to convey it. Yes, the characters were CGI most of the time, the blue creatures, but at the end of it, you're left emotionally and invested and also visually invested, especially Pandora is amazing. It's beautiful when you go watch it. So it's creative writing at its best, really, is bringing thoughts and ideas to the big screen. So script, the structure meets imagination. So unlike novels and poetry, screenwriting has to give you something emotional and something visual and follow the same structure of a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's crazy because sometimes you don't have any dialogue, any monologue, any talking. It's just visual. So you have to then think about how to show it and not just have people talking over it. As a writer, if you're writing a novel or you're writing a short story, you can take that time to write down what you think um, your description of something will be. No, especially novel writers. You could spend pages and pages writing a description about something, maybe even half a page to describe a world or describe an object or to describe 5 different things or an event that's happening. You've got to spend that time to describe what's happening so that when the reader reads it, they can then picture it into their mind. But with screenwriting, it's very different because you have to then bring what you're imagining, bring your details to life. And it's a very powerful thing. It's small, seems minimal. Seems like, oh, okay, I'm just going to be having this blue background with this yellow bright lights all over the place. And it seems silly, but when you then put it to the movie screen and you make it create something for the movie, for a movie for people to watch visually, then it counts. And everything that you do in your story writing, yes, the dialogue has to be there. Yes, the action has to be there. But then the description is different because you have to show it visually. So screenwriting is kind of considered as one of the most kind of disciplined forms of creative writing. It's minimal, yes, but powerful, and every word in the story writing counts. And while you're writing within these tight rules, and your voice and creativity are what makes the story truly resonate. So, which one should you write? Should you write a movie? Should you write a television show? If you've got think about your story first of all. If you've got something that's contained and emotionally punchy and you want to tell it in quick, one go, then write it as a movie. That will be your path. But if you've got a big world, you've got a voice, you've got characters who could live for seasons and episodes, then a TV series might be your best canvas. But nowadays, you could write a movie. You could write a movie as episodes. Think of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Definitely episodic. 3 amazing or 4 amazing movies, including maybe The Hobbit as well. Written by J.R.R. Tolkien as a story, written in a book, first of all. Complete novels, and then brought to life in the movies, in the cinema. So writers today actually have quite a lot of leeway, and they can move between writing as a movie or writing a TV show. You could write a pilot, and that could become a really good film. That could become a good movie. Or you could start writing an indie movie, and that could streamline and become a TV series. So the line actually isn't as rigid anymore. It's very much like a sliding door these days. It just depends on what you're writing and um, what you think would be the best way to tell your story. At the end of the day, movies and TV scripts may look different, but they're driven by the same core passion. And it's that passion for the writer, the person with the idea, to tell their story to someone, to tell their story and to move people and to make people see what they want to see or what they thought in their imagination. Well, that's all for this podcast. Thank you for listening. And if you're someone who really wants to tell your story, who really loves writing and telling stories, then I hope that this has kind of inspired you or guided you or maybe got you into thinking about writing your own movie or television scripts in the future. And if you've enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to listen to more, then like and subscribe to Hanaz Writers on their podcast channels. You can like on the Amazon Music channel, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. You can search for Hanaz Writers Podcast on these websites, and you can start listening to all of the available podcasts on them. If you're even interested in becoming a published author yourself, then why not visit Hanaz Writers' website itself, and you can sign up for free. You can write your own stories and your poems on there, and you could even get your help and guidance on how to publish them through the website. And if this podcast has inspired you to write movie scripts or television scripts, then write it up. Why not? Get started. You might have a really fun TV show, or you might have a really interesting movie. And you know what? It doesn't take much. You can get your own camera, get your phone, ask some of your friends. Maybe they can even join in with you to bring your writing to life, and they can film a quick show of it. Yeah, it won't be perfect. Yes, you probably don't have enough money to make massive effects. But what you could do is just do something for YouTube, write a quick storyline, something fun or serious or dramatic or action packed, whichever one, whatever idea that you've got, write it down. Get your friends to help you out and make a little video of it and then see what you can improve. There's always room for improvement. On that note, thank you very much for listening, and until next time, bye!